r/AskReddit. NSFW, what drug did you take once and thought nope, never again? Oxycontin. Tea was too relaxing and didn't last long. I had knee surgery and they gave it to me for the pain. I took it for a week, and when I wasn't on it, I really wanted more. After a week of it, I never wanted to touch that tea again. Same for me. I was prescribed some after a pretty painful oral surgery, and the first day back at work, don't worry, it was a desk job, no heavy machinery. The pain was so bad I gave in and took one. I remember zoning out at one point, looking at the clock on my computer, and realizing I had just sat at my desk staring at the screen for 2 hours, and my mouth still hurt like a bitch. I started with 30 pills and the other 29 sat in my cabinet for years, until I finally took them into one of those expired drug collection things at a local pharmacy. Ambien. Woke up in my underwear on my neighbor's porch. My girlfriend was having trouble sleeping, and her doctor gave her a prescription for Ambien. First couple of nights, no problem. Then I wake up one night and find her in the kitchen, all the burners on the stove turned on full. Semi-lucid, she said she wanted to make soup. I managed to get her back into bed. 2 nights after that, I wake up to find her out in the garage, in the car, engine running, wearing just a pair of knickers. Said she needed to go to Albertsons, because we didn't have peanut butter. She quit taking Ambien after that. First time telling this story on Reddit. During a baby shower, when I was 14, I drank 4 small cups of what I thought was gazpacho, but ended up being Bloody Mary. I spent the rest of the shower drunk on a bench, at one point having a very interesting conversation with a senator of the country I live. She ended up passing away a couple years later of cancer, but that's unrelated to why I told myself I'd never drink again. You should do an AMA. I was given coke laced with meth. Couldn't sleep for about 4 days. I had horrible anxiety and felt like my heart was going to explode. My arm fell asleep, and so did my jaw. I was given clonazepam and another pill to calm me down and put me to sleep. Those 2 pills did absolutely nothing. The doctor and nurse looked baffled as that amount was enough to put a horse to sleep. So yeah, if you come to Mexico, please don't go coke, because it might be laced with meth. Coffee. Trazodone for sure. I was in the hospital to get my heart fixed up and was having a hard time falling asleep. To this day no one is sure exactly what happened, if I was given too much or just had a bad reaction or what. But I remember laying there and thinking something wasn't right. I got up and just kinda wandered around trying to find a nurse. I was freezing, but pretty sweaty too, and couldn't really see or hear so well. And you know, that feeling when you bang your funny bone. My whole body felt like that. The weirdest part was I kept realizing, oh man, I'm in trouble, and would start to panic, but then a second later I'd sorta forget and feel so serene. I remember a nurse running towards me, but she looked like she in slow motion, like we were underwater kinda. And I knew I had something really important to tell her, but couldn't remember what it was. All I could think was how beautiful everything was, how the light was catching her hair and her sneakers squeaking across the floor sounded like a symphony. I remember smiling at her and just kinda slumping against the wall, and then everything went dark. I woke up hooked up to a bunch of monitors with a lot of worried faces standing around. My blood pressure had dropped down to nothing, and if they hadn't found me when they did, I probably rolled a die 6/10 experience. It was very beautiful, but they made me chug so much yellow Gatorade, and to this day, that stuff makes me gag. I probably rolled a die 6/10 experience. The incongruity cracked me up here. I did meth twice. Never again. Edit. Just to clarify, I loved it. It's the best thing ever. That's why I can't allow myself a 3rd time, cause I know for sure I won't be able to stop. Nice try, FBI. Ecstasy. Turns out it was laced with something, most likely fentanyl. Lost feeling in my legs, couldn't keep my eyes open, and was in excruciating pain. Once my friends realized I was being serious and overdosing, they took me to the hospital. I swore to never take a pill again after that. I was only 17. I struggled with other drugs and was an addict. I just celebrated 2 years of sobriety from drugs this month. : Edit. I want to thank everyone for the kind messages about my sobriety. I also really love hearing about other people's sobriety. I also got my first medal. You guys are awesome and always know that it does eventually get better. Xanax. Took a bar at a friend's house. All I remember was watching Game of Thrones at a friend's house. The next thing I know I'm at my apt and it's a day later. Wasn't a bad experience for anything, it was just alright and felt like a waste of time. Plenty of better drugs out there. All I remember was watching Game of Thrones at a friend's house. The next thing I know I'm at my apt and it's a day later. Not how drugs work. If that actually happened, that wasn't a Xanax. Or at least not just a Xanax. I was a senior in high school when Hurricane Katrina hit. Our house got 6 feet of water, no fun. But, one night my friends and I went to the gutted out house to smoke some marijuana out of a buddy's hookah. Buddy failed to inform us he had recently glued the bowl back together. Well, the crew lost composure, 2 people fell off the dock into the bayou, and everyone started panicking that they'd get hypothermia. Not gonna happen during Louisiana summer. So people leave. I drive a group to our next spot. My Pontiac's on fire is now a spaceship. My buddy riding shotgun started cackling hysterically, yelling about rattlesnakes in the road. We don't got those, and the 2 in the back were talking about magic or some shit. We couldn't make it to our destination due to freaking out, so went to hang out in a grocery store parking lot till we regained composure. 10/10ths would not smoke glue again. That reminds me, a kid in my HS band class used to breathe through his trumpet for air. It's disgusting and you're not supposed to do it, and after a while he started to have seizures, and it was caused from long-term exposure to a chemical used to oil the valves. Crack. It was too good. I get the hype. I smoked crack for one night, and it was amazing. People ask me sometimes, and the only way to describe it is how it feels to chew 5 gum. The feeling the next morning was an unparalleled hell, much worse than after a night of regular blow. Never again. DPT. People have referred to it as evil DMT, and that checks out. Imagine the psychedelic aspects of DMT, but it lasts for hours and you feel like you're also on meth. Good fucking luck sitting still for more than a millisecond. The visuals move at 1,000,000 miles an hour and it's really hard to get any semblance of reality. Basically you feel like you're in a crank movie, and it feels like it goes on forever. Not fun. Also did a PCP analog once, and that was obviously terrible. Didn't do enough to totally flip out. I was mostly confused and disoriented and nothing seemed real. I loved ketamine, but this was different. Kinda similar to DPT, it was much more speedy than I would have preferred, and it left me feeling scared and hopeless. Easy for me to see how enough of that shit will make someone go totally bananas. Finally, meth. Did it once by accident. Someone told me it was MDMA, and that come down. Good lord. Just thinking about it gives me flashbacks. I don't really do drugs other than weed anymore, and that's probably for the best. Bath salts. I had been told it was MDMA. It looked and tasted, and originally felt like MDMA. For the first 12 hours. The next 48 hours, when I was still high as a kite, I thought I was never going to come down. One of my pupils was highly dilated, and the other wasn't. Thankfully, I was working a solo shift at a tiny cafe in a student library when I went back to work on the 3rd day, and only had to deal with like 4 people the entire day. I legit thought I broke my brain, and was okay with it, because I was just continuously rolling without the major side effects. Problem was, I couldn't sleep. I think I was awake for 4 days straight, before I passed out from exhaustion, and then the nightmarish experience this had caused began to wind down. I tested the rest I had, and found it was bath salts, and actually swore off doing drugs. Been clean since, over 6 years now. LSD. It's an incredible drug for many people, but unfortunately, I had a bad time. Some parts, however, were very fun and memorable. However, due to the amount of anxiety I felt, there's no way I'm dropping acid ever again. To quote Alan Watts, when you get the message, hang up the phone. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more, or this poor hamster will catch the coronavirus.